The little girl's body was pierced with iron nails. If the nails are pulled out she can become human. But if they're not removed she'll die instantly. However, pulling them out turns her into a vengeful ghost. Just when she thought she'd spend her entire life living with this curse, the man suddenly pulled out the nails. It turns out the man was a severe patient at Qingshan Mental Hospital. He believed himself to be the greatest warrior of Blue Star, even used a slipper as his only tool to contact his organization. That day as usual he practiced flying in the courtyard, but tripped over his own feet and passed out. When he woke up he found a green water orb on his chest. The orb claimed to be the most noble spirit system in history. Said he was chosen because he saved the world in a past life. But Chen Zhou just picked up his slipper and swatted it away. "Don't block my moon essence absorption, you creep." The system, angered by the insult, was about to retaliate but suddenly said, "Something's coming to the door." A piercing scream echoed down the hallway. Chen Zhou and Piggy immediately looked out the window. A female ghost with wild hair was crawling slowly on the ground. But Chen Zhou and Piggy still stayed calm, assuming she was a new inmate from another ward. The sane system quickly warned Chen Zhou, "This is a second-tier vengeful ghost. She's here looking for prey." Chen Zhou didn't care and yelled at the ghost, "Don't howl in the middle of the night." The ghost ignored the door and charged straight in, landing directly on Chen Zhou's bed. Chen Zhou's eyes widened in shock. He stared at the black liquid dripping onto his bedsheet. As the ghost lunged again, he swung his slipper hard against her face. "I'm on duty tomorrow, you know." He slapped her with the slipper again, sending her into the hallway. The ghost continued to ooze black water. Chen Zhou couldn't hold back anymore. He launched into a flurry of blows with the slipper. "I said I'm on duty." After beating the ghost he threatened her to clean the hallway. The ghost could only hide in the corner and nod in grievance. Meanwhile, Chen Zhou's ghost-beating antics were recorded by the surveillance cameras, and reported to the director of the Exorcist Bureau. After witnessing Chen Zhou's strength, the director decided to invite him to join immediately. The next day Zhou Aiguo arrived early at the mental hospital. The director, hearing his request, led him to Chen Zhou's room. Zhou had rehearsed his speech all night, but upon seeing Chen Zhou he realized he was really insane. Still, there was no denying Chen Zhou had beaten up the ghost. Detective Zhang Yuyu asked Chen Zhou, "Do you remember what happened last night?" Chen Zhou stared directly at her chest for a long time. Then, as if having an epiphany, he said, "Miss, it looks like those two little orbs on your chest are sick. Come here, let me take a look." As he spoke he reached out with both hands. Zhang Yuyu was terrified and backed away. Thankfully the director grabbed Chen Zhou in time. "Sorry, he doesn't understand gender norms, no offense meant." Seeing this, Zhou Aiguo gave up on recruiting Chen Zhou. But since the ghost hadn't fed, she would come back. Tonight she was bound to return. They couldn't leave just yet. Night soon fell. Sure enough, the vengeful ghost returned to the hospital. This time she brought a top 10 ranked male ghost with her. Zhou Aiguo immediately realized the gravity of the situation. He ordered his men to guard Chen Zhou. Their solar array couldn't even withstand one hit from the male ghost. The two ghosts reached Chen Zhou's room effortlessly. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Chen Zhou calmly said, "You're finally here." The next second, two hideous ghosts burst through the door. Chen Zhou remained unfazed. He quickly walked past them and looked down the hallway. "Where's my alien friend? Didn't headquarters say they'd take Hollow Fiend home tonight?" Finding no trace of his companions, Chen Zhou returned to his room. He picked up his slipper to contact headquarters. "Hollow Fiend to HQ. Did something happen to the pickup crew?" Then he threw the slipper on the ground, pointed at the female ghost and shouted, "You again? First you interrupted my training, and now you're ruining my plans." The female ghost trembled with fear. Memories of last night's pain flooded her mind. Seeing his wife being bullied, the male ghost opened his mouth and spat out green goo. In the blink of an eye the goo transformed into tentacles that shot towards Chen Zhou. Luckily the system intervened just in time to block the attack. A gunshot suddenly shattered the tense atmosphere. It was the Exorcist Bureau's team arriving, but within seconds they were overwhelmed by the ghosts. The male ghost flexed his muscles triumphantly. Meanwhile Chen Zhou stood inside, gloomily staring at the floor. He picked up his slipper, now corroded by black water. Seeing the only tool to contact headquarters destroyed, Chen Zhou could no longer contain his rage. Sensing his fury, the system enhanced his physical strength. With one punch Chen Zhou sent the male ghost flying. Then with an elephant-like stomp, he crushed the male ghost to the ground. The male ghost knelt begging for mercy, but it was too late. Chen Zhou slapped a talisman onto the male ghost. In an instant the ghost turned to ash. Yet Chen Zhou felt no joy. He broke down shouting, "My communicator is gone. I can't return to my planet." Watching everything unfold on surveillance, Zhou Aiguo approached Director Li Qingshan. "We have to take him with us no matter what. This kind of genius can't be wasted." Zhou Aiguo pleaded, tears streaming down his face. Just then an officer burst into the room. leaving everyone momentarily speechless. The officer quickly regained composure and said, "The death girl will appear in the Southern District tonight. We must act now." As evening approached, Joe Aguo convinced the director to let him take Chen Zhou, but there was a new problem: how to transport him. In the end, Joe Aguo decided to tie him up and take him to the Southern District. Even tied up, Chen Zhou refused to comply. With no choice, the director stepped in. "Great warrior Hollow Fiend, I am your alien comrade Hollow 7. Hearing this, Chen Zhou calmed down. He then pointed at Joe Aguo and said, "Bonbo ba ba bon." Joe Aguo instantly recognized it as a code. Director Lee had warned him. No one knew Chen Zhou's secret code. Joe Aguo responded loudly, "Ha ha ha, brave agent, I salute you." Chen Zhou extended his fist. Hollow Fiend and Hollow 7 connected successfully. Joe Aguo burst into tears of joy. Then with a serious expression, Chen Zhou began to spout nonsense. "It's been so hard to get to this point. Great comrade Hollow Fiend, humans are under attack by malicious spirits. Headquarters orders you to eliminate the ghosts." Chen Zhou instantly straightened up. Hollow Fiend reporting for duty. The group quickly moved to the most sinister room. The moment they entered, Chen Zhou was drawn to some fancy toys on the table. Suddenly a team member warned that danger was approaching. Chen Zhou thought it was the hospital staff coming to take him back. He stormed to the door and flung it open. But outside was only a little girl raising her hand. The others recognized her as the Death Girl, responsible for over a dozen deaths. They recoiled in fear, but Chen Zhou grabbed the girl's head, looked around and saw no hospital staff. Mistaking the girl for an ally, he said, "Are you here to play with me?" The girl raised a ragged doll and asked, "Do you want to play with me?" Chen Zhou frowned in disgust. He slapped the doll away. "Ah, it's filthy." The little girl grew furious, her body radiating intense resentment. But Chen Zhou grabbed her by the hand and led her back into the room. "Dolls? What's so fun about those? Let me show you something really cool." He reached into his pants. Everyone stared as he pulled out a spinning music box. "This thing plays music when it spins. It's super fun, but I wonder if it glows in the dark? Let me close the windows and see." Hearing this, the girl raised her hand and snapped her fingers. Instantly the room was plunged into darkness. Chen Zhou grabbed a bedsheet, showing off his invisibility technique. He picked up the little girl and proudly presented her to the police officers. The officers panicked in terror. To their eyes, Chen Zhou was holding a skeleton. Joe Aguo fainted on the spot. While celebrating his successful invisibility, Chen Zhou noticed something strange on the girl. He asked, "Why are there iron nails in your chest?" The girl replied, "It's a curse. I also have 5 wooden nails stuck in me." Chen Zhou, furious, jumped up and down. "Which hospital is so heartless? I'll chop them to bits and feed them to dogs." The girl quietly said, "It was my parents who did it." Hearing this, Chen Zhou calmed down, his expression turning serious. "Why don't I pull them out for you? It must hurt a lot to keep them in." He reached toward the nails in the girl's chest. Joe Aguo, just waking up, was shocked. He's actually grabbing her chest? Meanwhile, Chen Zhou was already trying to pull the nail out. But no matter how hard he tried, it wouldn't budge. The system, seeing his struggle, stepped in to help. In an instant, Chen Zhou easily pulled out the iron nail. However, as the nail came out, the girl's resentment exploded. She sent Chen Zhou flying into the wall. The next second, she charged at him with violent energy. But Chen Zhou quickly grabbed her hand and began pulling out the remaining nails. When he pulled out the final nail from the back of her head, the sealed spirit within her was instantly released. A surge of resentment several times stronger erupted from her. Chen Zhou, being the closest, was hurled through the air. Just as he was about to crash to his death, a red light streaked past Joe Aguo. The next moment, the girl caught Chen Zhou mid-air. With ease, she brought him back to safety. Chen Zhou laughed, boasting, "I can fly." But the next moment, a red streak slashed his finger. Chen Zhou let out a blood-curdling scream. "It hurts so much. I'm gonna die." Meanwhile, the girl picked up the music box that Chen Zhou had given her and said, "An old lady once told me, if a ghost wants to stay with a human, without ruining their fortune, they must form a ghost contract." She grabbed Chen Zhou's hand. "Let's use your first gift as the contract." The girl gently pressed Chen Zhou's bleeding finger against her forehead. In an instant, all the resentment was sealed within her. The girl's appearance changed drastically. She bowed to the group behind her and transformed into a black light, vanishing into Chen Zhou's back. But Chen Zhou was still wallowing in the pain from his cut finger. Meanwhile, the sane officers were overjoyed. After all, the Exorcist Bureau officers could only handle first-tier spirits and second-tier vengeful ghosts. A third-tier ghost could easily slaughter them. But this silly kid Chen Zhou managed to deal with the death girl effortlessly. Thinking of this, Joe Aguo immediately led everyone back to headquarters. Looking at the peacefully sleeping Chen Zhou, couldn't help but feel excited. He even prepared a heartfelt lunch for Chen Zhou. He left a note with a small red flower, adding a personal message. The aroma of the food woke Chen Zhou instantly. But after just 2 bites he started choking. He stumbled over to a female officer's desk, staring intently at her drink. "I'm dying. Can I use that to save myself?" The female officer took a step back, smiling as she said sure. But in her mind she wondered, where did this guy come from still wearing a patient's gown? Chen Zhou insisted, "I won't take it for free." He scribbled something on a piece of paper, and forcefully shoved it into her hand. "This talisman absorbs spiritual energy from heaven and earth. It will protect your family for 3 generations. Make sure to keep it safe." The female officer was baffled. Who draws fish bubbles on a talisman? She thought. But the other officers who had witnessed Chen Zhou's ghost exorcising abilities were convinced it was a valuable charm. Soon in the director's office, a line of officers formed offering snacks in exchange for Chen Zhou's talismans. Chen Zhou happily drew one for each of them. Meanwhile a polite cough interrupted the scene. It was Zhou Eguo back from finishing his work. Seeing his subordinates acting so superstitiously, he scolded, "Stop messing around. Get back to work." But once everyone left, Zhou's demeanor changed entirely. "Could you make one for me too?" He pulled a thick wad of cash from his pocket. Seeing Zhou so eager, Chen Zhou smirked. Using all the skills he'd honed over his lifetime, carefully drew a turtle playing in water. Zhou Eguo was overjoyed, treating the talisman like a treasure. "There's a serial murder case at the East Bridge. Headquarters assigned us to handle it." Hearing this, Chen Zhou jumped off the couch. Hollow Fiend reporting. Mission accepted. The team quickly arrived at the crime scene. Chen Zhou wanted to search for clues inside the restricted zone, but he slipped and fell flat on his face. The officers immediately went on high alert. Zhou Eguo rushed over to find out it was just an accident. He quickly helped Chen Zhou to his feet. But just then, everyone's attention was focused on the shouting Chen Zhou. None of them noticed a spectral tiger appear behind them. Fortunately, the Death Girl sensed something wrong. She flew out of Chen Zhou's body. Seeing the Death Girl, the officers panicked and ran. But as they turned to flee, they saw a white tiger stalking them. The system explained in a calm voice, "That's Tiger Soul, a ghost that hunts by following the scent of blood." Chen Zhou's nosebleed attracted it here. The Death Girl knew she wasn't strong enough, but she bravely stood between Chen Zhou and the tiger. She used her power to bind Tiger Soul by the neck. She tried to throw it, but Tiger Soul flung her into the air. The officers, seeing she couldn't win, feared they were doomed. But when Tiger Soul launched its attack, they realized they were unharmed. Chen Zhou's talisman had activated, forming a golden barrier around them. The barrier not only blocked attacks but also expanded. Tiger Soul, seeing it was powerless, was about to retreat when suddenly, a hand stretched out from the crowd. It flicked Tiger Soul on the forehead. The person was none other than Chen Zhou. The humiliating flick drove Tiger Soul into a frenzy, tripling its strength. In moments it shattered the barrier, and lunged at Chen Zhou. But just then, the Death Girl returned. Using all her strength she bound Tiger Soul once more. She shouted, "You can't eat my master. If you want to eat someone, go eat them first." The Death Girl threw Tiger Soul right in front of the fleeing officers. But Chen Zhou, fearless as ever, boldly approached Tiger Soul from behind. He plucked a tuft of fur from its rear with force. As he did so he muttered, "This is the biggest cat I've ever seen. It's such a shame if it doesn't become my noble steed." In the next instant Tiger Soul roared in fury, and swung its claws at Chen Zhou. It attacked with all its strength, determined to kill the human who humiliated it. Fortunately the system lifted Chen Zhou into the air just in time. Annoyed by the tiger's rudeness, Chen Zhou shouted, "I wanted to give you a home. You want to knock me down?" With that he unleashed a powerful, meteor punch, that struck Tiger Soul hard. The blow left the tiger dazed and confused. But Chen Zhou didn't stop there. He continued pummeling the tiger with rapid, floating punches. The onlookers were stunned into silence. When Tiger Soul finally raised a white flag in surrender, Chen Zhou jumped onto its back triumphantly. "Yay, I've unlocked a new skill," he shouted. He called the Death Girl over to meet new family member. He commanded Tiger Soul to spin in circles, and then directed the tiger to fly into the distance. In no time they vanished under the crimson moon. Watching Chen Zhou disappear, Zhou Eguo immediately ordered his men to find him. The system displayed a "taming in progress" alert. Chen Zhou patted Tiger Soul's head. "Can't you fly faster?" he asked. As if in defiance, Tiger Soul surged forward, almost throwing both Chen Zhou and the Death Girl off. It wasn't long before, under Chen Zhou's direction, they arrived at the mental hospital. After landing, Chen Zhou yawned and said that he wanted to sleep. Tiger Soul perked up, thinking it could slip away unnoticed. But the next second Chen Zhou reappeared. He mimed tying an invisible rope around Tiger Soul's neck. Tiger Soul could only watch in disbelief, as it was captured, but it dared not resist. It had no choice but to follow Chen Zhou's lead. What baffled Tiger Soul even more was that Chen Zhou proudly held that invisible rope in his hand. tied Tiger Soul to a utility pole. After securing everything, he patted Tiger Soul on the forehead. With a sincere expression he said, "From now on this is your home. With me the great hollow fiend by your side. No one will dare bully you." But Tiger Soul, a 100,000-year-old ghost, was not moved by his words. It immediately flew into the air attempting to escape. It was ready to bolt. But just then the system displayed a "taming completed" message. The invisible rope around Tiger Soul materialized. Tiger Soul was yanked back forcefully. All hope for freedom vanished from its eyes. The next morning, a nurse making her rounds was surprised to see Chen Zhou. "Weren't you at the police station? How did you get back?" Chen Zhou grinned proudly. "I came back by myself." Suddenly, nurse noticed the injury on Chen Zhou's hand. She assumed he had been bullied, which was why he returned. Hearing this, Chen Zhou slipped into actor mode. "It doesn't hurt. I just fell on my own." The nurse became even more convinced of her theory. When the director learned what happened, he angrily scolded Zhou Aguo. "Explain yourself. What's going on?" Knowing he was at fault, Zhou Aguo didn't try to hide anything. But just as he started explaining, the director interrupted. "Don't tell me you searched all night and never thought he'd come back on his own. I'm the director, not a 3-year-old. But Zhou Aguo and the officers could only shrug helplessly. Meanwhile, Chen Zhou was sitting in the sun recovering. The system tried once again to cure his mental illness, but Chen Zhou swatted it away. Thus, the system's 43rd attempt to treat him ended in failure. Just then Officer Zhang Yuyu approached him. Chen Zhou instantly recognized her. "Little Orbs, it's been days since I've seen you. I even went to your office. But you weren't there." Zhang Yuyu smiled, took off her sunglasses and sat beside him. "I've been at the hospital these past few days." It turned out that when Chen Zhou said her little orbs were sick, he was right. She had late-stage breast cancer. She came to apologize for the misunderstanding back then. "I'm sorry. It's okay. Who cares about that now?" Chen Zhou extended his hand toward her. "Let's be good friends from now on." Zhang Yuyu couldn't hold back her tears any longer. "I don't have a later. The doctor said I only have a few days left. But there are still so many things I haven't done. I love being an officer. I wanted to protect people in a world full of ghosts. But in the end I couldn't even protect myself. I feel so unwilling to let go." Hearing this, Chen Zhou's mind nearly overheated. His CPU couldn't handle it. Then after a moment he sat down and declared, "In front of me the great hollow fiend. This is nothing." He pulled out a bottle of mineral water, shaking it vigorously while chanting a mantra. The system, recognizing the scene, knew it needed to intervene again. As soon as Chen Zhou stopped shaking the bottle, the system altered the water's properties. It even added a drop of returning blood. When Zhang Yuyu took the bottle, she saw a brief flash of red light inside. Before she could inspect it further, Chen Zhou chimed in, "You have to drink it all in one go for it to work." Without hesitation Zhang Yuyu chugged it down. But the next moment she suddenly screamed.